Hello dads, hope you're doing wonderfully well today. In today's video I want to talk about your mind and the importance of keeping control of your mind and having a level of awareness of what's going on inside of your mind, because your mind can easily take control of you if you're not careful. You can be operating out of old past habits and old past paradigms and patterns if you don't become aware and take control of your mind. If I asked you right now to think about, what is a father? What is a father? You might think about a father being somebody who is present with their kids. You might think about a father being a protector. You might think about a father being a provider. Um, you might even think about, a father who shows up for their kids for those big milestones. Maybe you go to the football game. Maybe you go. My girls, one is in drama and the other's in dancing. So you might think about times of showing up to some of their performances. But we all have this idea of what it looks like to be a father. And we do have an idea of what it looks like also to be a strong, intentional father as well. Now, before you even get to being a strong, intentional father, it's important that you think about what's going on inside of your mind and what things prevent you from showing up powerfully as the father that you want to be. Now, in this video, I want to talk about three things that you need to take control of and become aware of and eradicate from your mind, so that you can show up more powerfully and in the way that you really, really want to with your kids. And these three things are what we call the three weeds. I first came across the three weeds from a mentor of mine. We used to run retreats together with business people, and we used to talk about the mind and the three weeds. And the three weeds are things that keep you stuck. They're things that keep you in loops and patterns and telling the old stories over and over again. They keep you stuck in the past. They keep you stuck in this shadow version of yourself. They keep you repeating the same patterns over and over again, and they stop you from actually entering in and becoming the man that you are created to be. And I believe these are the three weeds that actually stop you from showing up powerfully with your kids. What are the three weeds? Well, listen up. So the three weeds are blaming, complaining, and rationalizing. Blaming, complaining, and rationalizing. So let's talk about each one. So blaming is probably the easiest weed to get stuck in, because it's easy and it feels comfortable, and sometimes it feels natural to blame other people, um, because when you are put on the back foot, I talked about this in the video yesterday, when you're put on the back foot, when you're surprised maybe by something, you feel like maybe you're under attack, or somebody is saying things that make you feel uncomfortable, you usually enter into the fight or flight mode, and all rational thinking goes out the window, and you might end up falling into blaming other people. So you might even blame your own father. You might say, I didn't have a good dad, so how can I be a good dad? You might say, my partner doesn't really support me, so it's not really my fault. Or my boss is too demanding, way too demanding, so I really don't have time to do the things that my kids want me to do. Um, and you might start feeling like, this fathering is rigged against you in some way. But blaming really takes the power and the responsibility away from you, and it puts it on other people. Now, it might be true that you are busy. It might be true that your partner doesn't support you in the ways that you want. You may have had a difficult upbringing. You might be carrying deep wounds. But blaming other people and blaming other things, it's never going to change the circumstances. It's never going to heal your wounds. It's never going to stop your boss from putting so much on your plate. It's not going to heal that connection between you and your kids. So blaming really puts a wall up between you and your own power to make decisions and take control of your own life. And your kids, and I've said this loads before, your kids don't need you to be perfect. You know, they need you to be present. And blaming often stops you from taking responsibility and choosing to be present. So, you know, we got to think about breaking that cycle, breaking the cycle of blaming, so that you can remove that weed and take responsibility and choose the direction that you want to move in. You are the author of your story. You're the main character of this story. So you got to take responsibility for the past. You got to take responsibility for how you want to show up, and remove that weed from your vocabulary. I can't even say that word properly. Okay, so the next weed is this. The next weed is complaining. So we all do it. You know, I'm too tired, or I didn't get enough sleep last night, or complaining about the weather, or complaining about this, or why is everything so hard? Everything's all against me. And again, those feelings are valid. You are experiencing that feeling within you. But complaining is a little bit like a rocking chair. You know, it gives you something to do, but it absolutely gets you nowhere. So again, a little bit like this idea of blaming. If you're complaining, it keeps your focus on the problem. It trains your mind to scan for what's wrong instead of scanning for what's possible. It trains you to stay stuck in that loop rather than thinking about what you can change. So you can't be the lighthouse for your kids if all you're doing is cursing the storm. Whoa, what a phrase. You can't be the lighthouse for your kids if all you're doing is cursing the storm. So we got to be that guide. We got to be that lighthouse. And leadership is, especially as a father, it's not about avoiding hard things. It's about stepping into hard things, demonstrating that you can do hard things, and that you can do that with integrity, that you can do that with poise, that you can do that with purpose. So when you catch yourself complaining, just ask yourself, what action can I take instead? Instead of complaining, what can I do about that? And maybe consider, what example are you setting? Because your kids are always watching. They're always learning from what you do. They're always watching to see how you respond to things. So it's really important for us to remove that weed from your mind, the weed of complaining, and to take action instead. So the third thing is this, rationalizing. So the third weed is probably the trickiest weed. And this is where we start to justify our own inactions. So you might catch yourself saying, you know, well, I'm doing the best I can, or this is just me, I can't change, or at least I'm better than what my dad was, or other dads don't do half of what I do. So you start rationalizing and making excuses. And again, a lot of that might be true, but here's the problem. Rationalizing is how you begin to settle. You begin to settle for what is happening. You begin to settle for a lesser version of who you are. You begin to settle for a lesser version of what is possible for you and your family. So you begin to tell yourself these stories, don't you? We begin to tell ourselves these stories so we don't have to face the discomfort of growth. You know, because growing can be hard, you know, so when you make a choice to be a better dad, a stronger dad, a more important dad, it means that there's a process of growth, and growth can be difficult. But the best version of you, and you'll have heard this before, the best version of you is never found in your comfort zone. It's never found in rationalizing. It's never found in just going, well, this is just the way things are, nothing can change. It's found in hard conversations. It's found in the sleepless nights. It's found in trying to connect with your kids. It's found in the moments that you want to check out, but you choose to show up. It's found when you choose to get rid of the rationalization, you get rid of the blame, and you get rid of the complaining and you say, do you know what? My kids need me. My kids are important. The legacy that I'm leaving is important, and I'm going to love my kids with all of my heart, and I'm going to show up for them as intentionally as I can. You know, that's what's important. So your kids don't need you to be a superhero. They just need you to be real, to be accountable, to be intentional, to show up, and be honest enough to admit when you've got it wrong, admit when you're falling into one of those three weeds, and to demonstrate, well, how do you become aware, and how do you just then choose to take responsibility and take action in the direction that you want to move in. You know, fatherhood is never about perfection. It's about the direction that you are heading in. You know, so it's important that we have a vision for fatherhood so we know what direction we're heading in. And the reality is we're all going to make mistakes. We're all going to fall short, because that's just what happens. But it's about what you do when you fall short. You know, when you clear out the weeds, when you stop blaming, when you stop complaining, when you stop rationalizing, you know, you're going to make room for something else to grow. It's a bit like gardening, isn't it? You know, so the weeds can choke any good plants that are growing in the garden. So you might have this beautiful idea of the father that you want to be, but if you're stuck in blaming, complaining and rationalizing, that's going to choke that vision for your fatherhood, for the man that you want to be. So we gotta pick out those weeds from our mind in order to let something else grow. So I want to just ask you, you know, to reflect on your own fatherhood, reflect on your own life for a moment. So just ask yourself, you know, where am I blaming in my life, and who am I blaming? Instead of owning, you know, my SH1T, instead of owning it, who am I blaming and what am I blaming? Where are you complaining? Who are you complaining about? What are you complaining about? Instead of leading, where are you rationalizing? You know, whereabouts are you making excuses for yourself, letting yourself off the hook instead of taking responsibility? So I just want to leave it there. I want to let you know that you have what it takes to be the most fantastic father, to be an intentional dad that shows up powerfully, that is invested in their kid's life, that builds an amazing family dynamic. You have what it takes, and I'm here to support you all the way. And I cannot wait to see you at Dad Camp the 14th, the 15th and the 16th of August. Look forward to seeing you there. Hope that video was useful. If it was, do put a comment below. Maybe tell me, you know, whereabouts are you blaming? Where are you complaining? Where are you rationalizing? Let me know what was helpful. And if you did find it helpful and you know a dad that could benefit from listening to this, then please do pass it on. And I will see you in the next video. Adios.